what what led you to being in this place of I want to be an advocate for underrepresented voices?
But I think it's really important to advocate for underrepresented voices because there's so many represented voices that have been out there and documented um, in history. Think about how history is written, how certain things are erased, regardless of what country you're from or have affiliation with. There's an erasure. And I think that representing oneself, one's truth, one's story, and connecting and amplifying those who are not seen or always not heard. I think a really great example of this is super simple is when I work with a team and I notice that it's likely that this gentleman is not hearing his female colleagues. It's almost like he's tuned out a certain register of voice and only listens to a lower register, which often is coming from men, as like the voice that I pay attention to. So when I notice certain dynamics like that, which happen in a lot of different cultures, which happens almost like an unflinching thing, like people are doing this because they're so used to it, such a ingrained habitual practice, right? I try to encourage people, every day you have an opportunity to challenge that habitual rut that we fall into that it gets kind of like a couch, like a little too
Mhm.
cozy. And I want to challenge people to look at that and say, gosh, is that what's happening for me? Am I tuning out and not listening to women purely based on how I've been taught or how I've observed that to happen? How might I tune more in to my female colleagues when they speak? And some ways I can practice that is every time a woman speaks in that register, I literally write down what she says and reflect back what I heard. And I bring that
Yes.
up because if you don't, listeners, watchers, have exposure to underrepresented voices and people in the room, or you're used to kind of feeling more comfortable with people who look the same as you're missing out an opportunity to really lean in and get curious and learn somebody else's experiences. Most of the times, when somebody who's underrepresented or is coming from a very different demographic than yours into that space, they can feel like the lonely only. And you can imagine how different their existence is and their participation in that culture of the company, of that team, of belonging, what that's like.